Hello.
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 Let's go!
Hey, kids.
Hey, Dad.
War crimes will be prosecuted.
Let's have a Liberty City, burn it to the ground.
Does the word mean anything to you?
Yeah, I chose this profession, so therefore I earned beer.
You want to go to the matinee?
The feeling is definitely there.
You don't know my name!
It's a new morning in America.
This is the old dude, Howard J. Reynolds.
Step into my office.
Not going to be too many punks.
Don't you stop worrying about the punk?
Fuck you! That's my name!
Yeah, let's go to the punk rock show.
Introducing, for your listening pleasure.
Hi, and welcome to the High Fives Punk Rock Podcast, episode 108. Hi, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing great, Mike. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. How have you been? Good?
Good. Yeah, all good. It's already towards the end of February. It's crazy how fast the year is going by.
Yeah. Thanks for rushing this in. I know you're a busy guy, so getting it in at the end of the month. February is always a weird one because you're like, even though like the 28th, it's like 2 or 3 days, right? It's not that big of a deal, but
yeah, but it does seem to go.
It feels
so
like
faster.
it goes by way faster. Thanks for filling in. This is how we both imagine spending Saturday nights, right?
Couldn't plan a better one.
Sitting in a room on a computer talking about music on microphones. Oh, times have changed. Anything new since last episode, Justin?
Not at all, Mike. Not
at all? Not at all, hey? I assume you've been listening to all the big hits like Rihanna, Beyonce, things like that. That's what you got going for this episode, right?
Yeah, that's where we left off, and that's where we're gonna pick back up.
For those who don't know, apparently, well, I'm not even really sure if this is what happened, but our last episode's not on Spotify for some reason. I didn't really get a memo or anything, so I think it's a glitch. But I'm gonna blame Justin picking top 40 hits for the last episode.
I only picked that for 5 of my picks.
It could have been anything, but let's blame Atreyu and Fall Out Boy. It's all Fall Out Boy's fault.
Yeah.
They're really concerned about the money they're losing from our limited,
that's right, yeah.
our limited listenership. Episode 108 is 2006, 2007, right? I think that's right. Okay, I did the right thing. It's always good.
We did it. We know what we're doing. We're professionals.
Totally. But before we start, as usual, I got some questions for you, Justin, because I like to put you on the spot.
The audience wants to know.
They do like to know. It makes for good video footage on our Instagram, because the rest of the stuff's not that exciting. You've been traveling a lot lately.
You mean the rest of the hour and 45 minutes?
Well, people want to know about you. They already know about me, or don't even care about me, but people want to know about you. And at very least, I want to know about you, and that's all that really matters. So, first one, you've been traveling a lot, going back and forth across this big country. Is there a song that you like to listen to when you travel? Or is that a random question? Like, does it matter? Like, I get nervous about flying and traveling, which you know about. You're actually pretty awesome when I traveled with you, because you were always like, try to calm me down. So
yeah, there's a lot of leg rubs.
Yeah, well, I thought that was just for fun. I didn't think that was about flying.
We got to start a few weeks in advance just to get things going.
Just like Catholic school. I mean...
Yeah, exactly. No, I think I'm pretty like whatever I'm in the mood for. Like, for example, on the last time I landed, I think I don't know what kind of mood I was in, but I went with Run the Jewels as soon as I landed, which is just a weird, I think I really wanted something like kind of aggressive and hard hitting, and I don't know. That was random, but that's probably happened a few times where I listen to something totally different when I'm kind of landing and waiting for. Oh,
that is super interesting, because I don't picture you listening to even Run the Jewels.
Maybe my favorite like hip hop band.
Crazy.
Yeah,
I'm more of a like super relaxing like folky indie rock person when I travel, just to calm me down. Okay. Next question. We brought this up in the WhatsApp chat, or somebody did, and I thought it was an interesting question. It led to some good discussions. What's a band you say you love, but in reality you only really love one of their albums in the catalog?
It is a really good question, because there are bands that I'll absolutely say I love, and then I start Trying to think about like, well, what is it I love about them, and it really kind of comes down to like maybe an album or two.
Mm-hmm. Like someone mentioned in the chat, Suicide Machines, that they only really love the first album, but they'll say they love the Suicide Machines.
That's a pretty
Another
good
person
one.
said At the Drive-In.
At the Drive-In is a really good one because like, Relationship at Command is like, I love that album. I can't really say I like. No, they have like 2 good albums, right? Like
I like most of their catalog. I'm pretty biased though, but I can see why people would only like Relationship. I can't remember what I picked. Either I had something stupid.
yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, there's a couple I've mentioned even on the podcast where I'm like, I've listened to this album and nothing else of theirs. I think ironically, Atreyu is one of them.
There you go.
But I don't even know if I can say I love Atreyu. I like one album that was pretty good for the specific year that it came out. I don't know. I'd have to give it some more thought to.
Okay, that's
to
fair.
give a better answer.
And last question: have you seen a movie or TV show lately that interests you?
Oh, that's quite off the script from music
Well,
related talk.
I have a thing to lead into this after. That's why I plan this kind of stuff out.
Yeah, I just started watching Paradise on Disney Plus.
Oh, that looks good.
It is quite good. I don't know what it is about it, but it just seems like a little bit different than some other stuff. So I'm working my way through that. I do really want to check out the Questlove 50 Years of SNL through
Really
music.
good. Really
is
good.
it good? Have you seen it?
Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah, that's high on my list.
There's some cool stuff in there, like the Elvis Costello thing,
Mhm.
which I had never actually seen. I'd kind of heard about it before, but I don't know why I never saw it before, and that was really cool. The Fear thing I had always heard about. I didn't know that John Belushi had invited Fear there.
Yeah, I think he brought them on, right?
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. And then like it's just cool seeing like the different spectrum of music that went on that show. And like, I know you're not a huge SNL guy, right?
I come and go with it. Like I was like sort of that early 90s.
Well, yeah,
you know,
that was our time. For, like,
Sandler and Farley for sure, a big fan, and same with like the Will Ferrell years.
Like I really like SNL, and I think like I was talking with somebody about it, and I think what's great about SNL is it's so of the time. Like it's really just almost of that week or 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you go back and you see the musical artists, you're like, well, that's somebody I forgot about, but they were so important for that month or that year and things like that. So it's kind of cool. Like that was really neat to see. And I like that they seem to like, maybe not so much anymore, but maybe I'm just out of touch, but they always seem to have like kind of bands that were almost on the cusp of getting big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's part of what they go for, right? Is like a band that's about to like chart or start climbing the charts, and then SNL is like really a springboard that like makes them blow up.
Mm-hmm. On that topic, I was because I think Questlove did this as well. Is the Sly Stone doc on Disney is so good. I don't know if I ever talked about Sly and the Family Stone here, but they're one of my favorite bands, which is really weird because it's like funk and soul and stuff like that. But when I was a kid, my uncle really liked them and got me into it. And it just like, I was so stoked on the documentary. So if anybody's looking for a really interesting documentary, Sly and the Family Stone, the one on Disney is like amazing. They do such a good job. He's a very interesting character.
Yeah, I've heard that one's really good. So it's cool seeing Questlove do this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great drummer too. He's one of my favorites.
Well, he's a really good drummer, yeah. Though the reason I actually talked about movies or TV is I was going to ask if you saw the Jurassic World trailer.
No, I have not. I haven't watched it.
Wow. Let down, Justin. Well, there goes the rest of this episode.
I was going to say it's either Jurassic Park or the OC.
I was joking with somebody because somebody said that there's enough of them being made that it doesn't need it. And I said, to me, the Jurassic franchise now is almost like Fast and the Furious. It's so ridiculous that like I don't really even care. It doesn't matter. It could be the stupidest storyline in the world, but I'm like, I kind of need to see it. If they put a dinosaur that had robotic arms in it, I would be like, yeah, I could watch that.
Yeah.
Like, just want to see it. No, it's like just to see how insane it got. They're going to the island again?
Just like the Bible, Mike, you can't get enough. Just new version after new version. There's something in there for everyone.
Something?
I've been listening to a lot of Under Oath again since the last episode. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's...
I figured. You're on your conversion train?
Yeah, that's right. 6 listeners at a time.
On
a related topic, Mike, I actually have a question for you. Do you have a standout or memorable late night or TV show performance from a band?
Oh, fuck. There was some. Who was on Conan? I saw somebody on Conan, and I was thinking about this the other day. Conan, this is a good question, Justin. Maybe I'll even go with Nirvana. I know it's cheesy, but Nirvana on SNL when they did it
Yeah.
with like Charles Barkley. That's always stood out in my memory, and it's probably just because we were like 14 or 15 when that happened.
Yeah.
And it's like I remember seeing that and being like, oh, the music I like is on TV, and I think that could be it. But there's a Conan O'Brien was always really good when he had his late night talk show. Like he had punk bands and stuff on there every once in a while.
It was kind of like when they were like when he had like the later TV, like not the whatever, like the 11:30, but it was like the 12:30.
Yeah, like
midnight.
when he took Letterman's spot. Yeah, he had some good bands. I feel like I saw in my head. I feel like At the Drive-In was on there, and it was really cool.
Yeah, they were awesome. Like just all over the place, and yeah, there have been some really good ones. Beastie Boys on SNL was awesome.
Beastie Boys on SNL was really good. Rage on SNL was really good, which actually is in that 50th thing, which is they did awesome because I didn't know about it. They almost got booted off because they put an upside down American flag.
Yeah, I guess there was a big like fight with like the cast or something, or a host.
Somebody,
it was
the host. The host was like some conservative guy at the time or something, like kind of a Rush Limbaugh kind of guy. And
like there was some like either whoever does like the casting or the talent or whatever, like lines up. It was just like, let's just see what happens.
Yeah, they must have been. Hey?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way like they didn't know. I always find that funny with Rage Against the Machine when people are like, Rage Against the Machine is political. I'm like, yeah, what the fuck were you like? There's not even like they're not even trying to hide it.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing in their imagery, their lyrics, their music that screams anything but political.
Yeah.
When people, I don't know, it's always been a weird one. Like, there's other bands where you're like, oh, okay, like Rise Against. Let's say if you don't know about Rise Against, but you only heard like Swing Life Away or something, you're like,
yeah,
oh, I didn't know they were a political band.
Yeah, not knowing about Rage seems inexcusable. Like,
Yeah.
you even see like Public Enemy, like not realizing how political they were would sort of make sense, right? Like they're just kind of like on the surface, like, well, especially if you look at Flavor Flav. But like the rest of the band is like pretty legit. Some might even say too legit.
Well, not everyone's too legit to quit, though. Good question. I wish I had a lot more time to see this. It's kind of hard to come up on the spot. Now I feel bad that I do this to you every week.
Not so easy, is it?
No, it's not. That should have been an easy one too, but too many choices fly in your head, and then you stumble and you can't remember. Well done, Justin. Well done. Should we move on to the episode then?
Yep.
So I had a couple thoughts on 2006, 2007, mostly personal. So you can jump in if you have anything you want to talk about, because I didn't really do much of the history stuff again. But music-wise, for me, I felt like, I think in the last episode I talked about how the last few years I'd really struggled with finding music that I liked or like getting involved and stuff. And in these years, I feel like I've kind of refound my love for punk and ska and like this sort of genre of music. Whereas like before I was kind of bored with it or whatever. There was a lot of things that contributed, and one of them was the internet again. I started discovering blogs and stuff. I think it was becoming more accessible for people to put out blogs with their own spins. So you found like-minded people that could maybe suggest bands that were. I was finding new underground bands, quote unquote underground bands that I hadn't before. Punknews.org was like really became influential for me for finding new bands, which I know it sounds probably funny too, but it's probably geared to a younger crowd. But for me at the time, it was really good.
I think we were the younger crowd because that was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, but we still weren't. Yeah, I guess so. We still were a younger crowd, I guess. And I'd gotten invited to a torrent site from some record label people, so I was getting like advanced copies of stuff like months and months in advance that I think was supposed to be like A&R stuff. So I was almost like in the streaming era now. I was like overloaded. Like each month I would get like 20 to 30 releases to listen to. And a lot of it was stuff from labels, like smaller punk labels and things like that. So I was like just discovering new bands. And I think all this really contributed to me refining a love for this genre. And I think maybe even to some extent texting. I know that sounds silly, but like when you could text somebody, like I could text you or Nate or like one of our other friends and be like, hey, did you hear this band? It was a little bit different than going for beers or like calling you. Mm-hmm. It's like a quick text, and then you can be like, okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah, there seemed to be like a sort of technological leap, and probably like, maybe it's sort of 07, 08, but it was like the first smartphones, for example, and or even just like texting was way easier because you had a BlackBerry. And even from an internet perspective, like you couldn't do fuck all on your cell phone, but your home computer, quite easy to start searching for music, to download like MP3 stuff, to watch music videos on YouTube. Like all of that sort of really started to take shape, and like our internet was fast enough that you could reasonably do that versus just a few years ago where it's like, oh, you want to listen to the song? Okay, we'll come back in 3 hours and we'll see if that, 3.2 megabytes is finished.
That's a good point about the speed thing. I didn't even think about that. That did make a huge difference. Like, it wasn't a pain to look something up. So, like, if you said, hey, go check, do you remember when Rage Against the Machine was on SNL? And then I could be like, 2 seconds, like, find it. Whereas before, you'd be like, well, that'll take me a while to figure out. I'm not watching that video, like, much quicker. So, good point. And I think one of the other things was that, and this is purely an opinion, but I feel like pop music became pop music again. Like, I feel like there was, like Justin Timberlake was really popular again, and like Beyonce, Rihanna, like things like that. A lot of the alternative stuff took a back seat again, so there was more underground. I mean, there still was, like, I think this was the year the Black Parade came out, so there still was that like emo pop punk stuff that was in the mainstream, and it still was floating out there, and it still does. But you did see like this like leap again from pop music, and that stuff didn't move the needle for me, so it forced me back into like caring about music that I was more interested in. Yeah,
it seemed like less of a blurred line, I guess.
Yeah. Before we get into the actual episode, what have you been listening to? Have you been listening to anything?
I have, yeah. I've sort of dug through some later 2024 stuff and things that came out earlier this year. So I've been listening quite a bit to the Claudio covers. That's the Claudio Sanchez solo, like a little mini album he put out, which is great. Like his cover of The Outfield's Your Love is awesome. That's one of my favorite songs, so his cover fits really great.
He does a good job of like putting his own, because his voice is so unique, putting his own spin on songs. So like none of them sound, I mean, they sound like covers, but they sound like his version of it. Like I thought the Cure one he does on there is really good.
Yeah, that one's good too, for sure. Yeah, so it's good, and it's just something different, like sort of a change up to what I sort of normally listen to, but still very familiar. I've been listening to Violet, which is the Alice Dunes album that came out, I think, at the end of last year, right? I don't think it was 2025.
No, it came out like last month.
Oh, was it? Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's been pretty good, as well as the new Oh the Humanity, which I think just came out
in January.
Yeah, like just a few weeks ago. Which is a band I've like heard a few of their songs here and there, but never really kind of gave them enough of a listen, and sort of spent a little more time with this one and quite like it. Like there's just sort of something about like kind of that.
Oh, it feels very you. Like I was going to suggest you listen to it. It's very like a Wilhelm Screamy, I think. But like,
well, it's actually recorded by the guy from.
I did see
Wilhelm
that
Scream.
too. But there's a lot of really catchy choruses in there, and like it's techie but not too techie too. Like I think it's like that. It's that fine line of like punk, metal, and tech that like just works well. Yeah,
and for some reason, like even though I've heard them before, I think I always sort of like thought they were sort of more like kind of Midwest emo-ish, and then I'd listen to them and be like, oh yeah, no, they're pretty good. Like, not that there's anything wrong with like Midwest emo stuff, but just like, I don't know, there seems to be a disconnect between the name and what they sound like. So I'm glad I gave this one a good listen to. And then the other one that just popped up, and I haven't spent too much time with it, but that's the Winona Fighter album, which I think I've like heard a couple songs of it, like maybe a single, and I quite like it. I wasn't sure what to make of it at first, but I love actually how like polished and clean it is, but it's still pretty like rocky, and I love the name too. I think Winona Fighter is an awesome name for a band.
It's a very good name. That's interesting. You're about the third person that told me they were listening to that album in the last little while, and I didn't love it on the first listen, but now I feel like maybe I should give it a stronger listen.
Yeah, I think even like the first song I heard, I had to kind of go back a second and third time to get it to click. But
cool. Was that 4? That was 4. Wow, you did
4. Lots of new music.
That's good, Justin. I'm impressed. So what I've been listening to is a band called Bad Year that came out in 2024. They're from Denver. It's just like pop punk with kind of orgcore tendencies. It's got a 90s punk feel to it a little bit too. Just really good and catchy. When you search for this album, there's another band that's also a punk band called Bad Year that it appears to have nothing to do with them. So it was very confusing because that one wasn't as good. So if you're looking for it, the one I'm talking about is a band from Denver. So maybe get more creative with your names. Second band, Hell and Back. This is a band from Stuttgart. They play gruff like punk with catchy melodies. It's kind of the album that you get, like one of those albums when the more you listen to it, the more excited you get. Like the first time you listen to it, like, oh, this is pretty good. And then you catch yourself like with that song in your head and you like listen again, you're like, oh, it was really good. I actually think I don't know if I suggested it to you before, but I feel like this is a band you would really, really like because it's the production on it's really good. It's basically on the cusp of being overproduced for me, but I know how you like when things are done really nice and crisp. So
Plus, they're from Stuttgart. I've actually not heard anything you've said. I've just been playing the Simpsons episode where they recover the stolen paintings.
oh man, such a classic episode. Also nailed Euro trash. If you're into streaming, they have it on Bandcamp for Name Your Price download, which is also a really cool thing to do. Third one is Death by Unga Bunga and their album Raw Muscular Power. I think it's their 7th album. They're from Norway. High energy, fun rock and roll album. Big riffs and catchy. They also have a song about Paul Stanley. So that's a sell and a win for me right away. I know Nate's been a champion of this band for a while, and he told me this is an early contender for Album of the Year.
Wow. Big statement.
Last one, a little bit different. It's Ali Gertz's album. Do you know who Ali Gertz is or no?
I don't.
Okay, she's a comedian and singer, but her album's called Peel Back, and it's an album entirely of Nine Inch Nails covers. So I don't think I'd ever say I was into a Nine Inch Nails cover album before, but I really like this because I really don't like Nine Inch Nails. Like, did you like Nine Inch Nails when we were younger?
It's funny. I actually went through a Nine Inch Nails phase last summer, maybe the summer before.
Really?
Where, for a number of weeks, I was listening to a lot of stuff. Like,
did you get some pleather pants? An eyeliner?
Oh, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was for a different reason.
Yeah, that was unrelated. That was just normal Tuesday shopping.
Yes.
And I think it actually started because I kind of like heard some more stuff about like Trent Reznor and how he was like this like musical prodigy. And I guess it shows like not only through Nine Inch Nails, or not as much through Nine Inch Nails, but a lot, like he's scored all these different movies. He's like a prolific songwriter, and just like he has this like incredible connection to music. Like I think he's a classically trained pianist. Like, and at like age 7, his piano teachers were like, "This kid is so special." So yeah, like I've more recently, like I went through like a slight Nine Inch Nails fan like phase when I was younger, but listened to him a little bit more recently. So that's cool. I'll have to check that out.
Anyway, she strips them down to like folk songs, like singer-songwriter. And I really do like Ellie Gertz. Like her podcast, she had a Simpsons podcast, and that's like probably the first podcast I ever listened to. And she had an album called Cosby Sweater, which is really good, and has a song about Millhouse. But this is just peeled back, full-on acoustic. I never really realized how crazy and dark his lyrics were. Like, they're pretty fucked up. No wonder parents were freaking out back then. But really good, 100% worth the listen. And that's what I've been listening to.
Awesome.
No
Good
throwbacks.
stuff. Good start to the year.
But let's get on to 2006 and 2007. If you didn't listen to the last episode, we're moving to do in 2 years at once because I just made an executive decision. There's no real rhyme or reason. I tried to justify it by saying that we wouldn't end up with the same bands, but that didn't really help. So here we are with 2006, 2007. Justin, what's your first pick?
All right. So we talked a little about in the last episode about sort of metal adjacent bands or like metalcore, and now I'm just gonna jump right into that and just go full on to thrash metal. And this is the third studio album from Richmond, Virginia's very own Municipal Waste, which is a band I know you like. I think you got me into them. This is definitely not something for everyone. Probably not for most people, but if you like metal and specifically thrash metal, I think these guys do it so well. And you can listen to an entire album in about 26 minutes. So it's not like a big investment in your life. I think they put out an album last year that's 13 minutes long or something. It's the one about it's all about a movie too. Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first song is almost just a sound clip, which is pretty awesome. So this came out June 12th, 2007. The album is The Art of Partying. And whether it was 2007 or 2017, or I'm assuming in 2027, everything this band puts out is, like, you know exactly what you're going to get. They're short songs, they're about partying, they're about being rad, and they're just awesome. They're so fun. I don't think they take anything too serious except for crushing beers and big metal riffs. So,
did you see them in Austin with us? I know they were at Fun Fest. I know Dave saw them with me, and I think he was like, "What the fuck?" Because they threw garbage cans.
Yeah, we totally saw them.
Yeah,
I was going to say, like, this was with the garbage cans, right?
Yeah, they threw garbage cans in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was in like the middle of the afternoon, but it was super good. Yeah,
I don't even know if it was middle of the afternoon. I feel like it was like 11 a.m.
Yeah, could have been even earlier, but they're just so much fun and just a great listen if you like thrash metal, and it's not like for how ridiculous their songs are and short and just like to the point. They're actually like pretty good, like musically. There's cool riffs. The drummer's pretty solid.
The lyrics are actually like, as much as they are about partying and stuff, they're not like, well, they're stupid, I guess, but they're
stupid.
But they're not. It's like put together well, like you said. Like everything.
Yeah, like it is put together well. Yeah.
It's not a joke. Like it might be a joke, but it's also not a joke. I don't think.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. I went with the track "I Just Want to Rock," which is about wanting to basically be gigantic arena rock stars with fog machines and fans and laminated backstage passes and unlimited beers and somebody to light their joints for them.
So basically every band you talked about last podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So I figured a great continuation. And they would play a bar show to 35 people and act like this, I think. So
yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think if they're... No, they didn't play it. Sorry, I'm thinking of there's another band called Toxic Holocaust, which is kind of similar.
Yeah.
And they played the Bamboo, which is, for anybody that's not in Calgary, like, what's the Bamboo?
Like 45 people. Like,
if that.
Yeah.
It's tiny, and they played like that too, like as if they were playing the stadium. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, is this my favorite Municipal Waste album? I don't know, because they all sound basically...
I think this is the best one.
The same, but this one has some really good tracks on it, and the Art of Partying itself, like the song, is really good. So, yeah, there
Great
it is,
choice.
my first pick.
Great choice. I'm glad you picked it. Mine's going to be a little bit of a departure. I'm picking a band that, like, most of us would cite as important and influential, yet I think on the podcast, they've only ever been brought up like maybe a handful of times, and quite possibly only twice, which is insane. But I'm wondering if it's because they're such low-hanging fruit, or that they've been so consistent that it felt odd to pick them. I know when I'm doing my list, they always come up, and then I'm like, I don't want to put that on the show. People know about them. But it seems that the state of the world is, by most accounts, in shambles, so I've been listening to them a lot lately. The band is Bad Religion. The album is New Maps of Hell. So this came out in 2007, and I first got a copy of this album via that torrent site that I was talking about. When I listened to it, it just hit so hard and fast, and it quickly became one of my favorite Bad Religion releases. So I had to pick it. Specifically the song I picked, which is called New Dark Ages. That song rang so true then, and even more so now. Every time I hear it, I just feel like I need to turn up the volume, and it makes me angry, and it feels like I'm getting out all my anger of all the shit that's going on in the world. Like, I don't know, do you like this album?
I feel like not a lot of people heard of Bad Religion, so this is all...
Oh, they're new.
Yeah. Started in 79? Oh, they'll come around.
They're also talking about the art of partying.
Actually, I actually really like this song. I think it's a great pick, and I feel like, and maybe it was through the lineup change. I think the last one is where they swapped out drummers. The band just sort of hit another gear in the previous album, which I think was The Process of Belief.
Yeah, I think the last one was Process of Belief.
And in this one where they were like, the band got, I think, more driving, but the vocals, like Greg's vocals, got almost more steadfast. And he's always had like a very like almost spoken way of singing. But I feel like this one, it's just like, it seems to have more punch and more, not edge to it, but just more.
It's got more punch for sure. And I think that's why I like it so much. It definitely's got more punch to it than other Bad Religion albums. That's why I'm curious. I feel like it's one of those albums that not all Bad Religion fans like, but I don't know. I really like it. I do kind of find it interesting that Bad Religion has kept fairly quiet during all the turmoil that's going on in the last little while. Like they haven't really been vocal for like a band that's so political. Like I haven't heard them talk about the Trump stuff or immigration or like the Middle East situation. It's kind of interesting that they've been so quiet, but I did see that they're putting out a new album, so I have hope that maybe they're going to address some of that stuff there. It's kind of weird that a band so political and so like involved in that just didn't say a thing.
I wonder if it's like a pass the torch kind of thing. Like
Maybe.
we they've been carrying that torch since.
But like Propagandists did stuff right away.
Like the early 80s, and
who are they passing the torch to? Propagandy?
well, there's got to be.
No, I mean they're entitled to
fans.
not. They're entitled to not say it. But like for example, Rise Against, who again I'm not a huge Rise Against fan anymore, but I saw that they made a comment about the German election this weekend, like at a show and stuff. So like bands are still doing it. I just thought it was interesting that probably most of these, well not most, a large chunk of people that are politically involved in punk at some point probably listen to Bad Religion and look to them for like guidance in that sort of realm. And for them to be so silent is kind of interesting. But whatever. They're also old.
Yeah.
You're right.
and also like we talked about with Rage, I don't think anyone's going to listen to Bad Religion and be like, "Oh, that's where they stand on the political spectrum." I thought,
well, you never know. Anyway, that's just I just have hopes that the new album will kind of address that stuff. But that's just a personal thing. They definitely were addressing it on Maps of Hell. So, great album. If you don't like it, or didn't like it when it came out, I would recommend giving it another listen.
yeah, it might be one of those that's worth a look back, and especially given the climate of today.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's all I have to say about Bad Religion. Unless you want to talk more about Bad Religion.
No, let's keep going, but let's before we do that, listen to some music. So, first picks for the years 2006, 2007. I am going with the band Municipal Waste. The album is The Art of Partying, and the song I'm going with is I Just Want to Rock.
Bad Religion, New Dark Ages off Maps of Hell.
Whiskey, Jägermeister, let your guitars well bow. Endless
All right, we are back and diving into the years 2006 and 2007. Good start to the picks. I'm liking where this episode is heading. So obviously I've built up a lot of things through the last episode with bigger and bigger bands and started this one with a really small band that dreams of being bigger. And now I'm going to rein it all in and really kind of put a different perspective on it. My second pick is the fifth studio album, which I actually didn't realize that they put out so many things before. I think they've put out maybe 2 more since, at least. They come from New Bedford, Massachusetts, what I'm assuming is Boston, or I don't know where that is exactly, but somewhere on the northeastern seaboard, or just the seaboard as we've called it.
Well, we're just renaming things however we want now, right?
It's Lower Canada. We're going to start taking things back here. Yeah. Have our own tea party. Oh, wait, no, that didn't go well.
No, that didn't go so well.
So this was recorded in May 2007 at the Blasting Room in Fort Collins, Colorado, which we've talked about quite a bit, which is Bill Stevenson's studio. I think it's the first album that this band did with them. The band is A Wilhelm Scream, and the album is Career Suicide. I'd listen to the previous album, I think was Mute Print, which has some really good songs. It has The Rip on it, which I think was one of my favorite songs of theirs. But I think this one just kind of comes together a little bit nicer and just has a little bit more polish, probably from like the production side. And I think I've seen them live a few times and they are awesome. Like they're so good. And like for how kind of technical they are, it's like never a beat missed in their live performance. And I think I saw them around the time this album came out, maybe at Mac Hall, but I'm not entirely sure.
You know what? I feel like they played the Republic.
Oh, maybe it was the Republic. Yeah, I was going to say Mac Hall felt a little bit big,
but maybe it was Mac Hall. I do feel like they played the Republic. I know I didn't see them because I couldn't go or something like that. But I feel like it was the Republic.
Yeah, or Sate. Maybe it could have been Sate. I don't
Sate?
know. Either way, like sort of, it was a smaller venue, but awesome live, just fast, hard hitting. And really intricate, so it was definitely right up my alley. And after, like we talked about, all like sort of being out of punk rock for a little bit, this really helped sort of bring me back in to, this is more evolved than a lot of the 90s skate punk, and just kind of like managed to kind of scratch that technical itch of mine. So I should probably get that checked out.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I'll clear right up.
Yeah, just need some antibiotics.
The song I went with was I Wipe My Ass with Showbiz, which is literally all about how these bands that used to be punk rock or are now these ridiculous arena rock bands, and everything's about the stage performance and how they look and how do they have the right appeal, and doing photo shoots and reshoots and sort of having this like really like polished look that a Wilhelm Scream just couldn't give a fuck about, and we're probably so sick of seeing,
Yeah, I mean, I think we were
MTV
sick of it.
pop punk and punk bands, punk bands that are so far removed from what punk was really all about. So I think this was a good one to sort of rein that all in and be like, you know what, this is actually what punk rock is all about.
I'm glad you picked this. I was waiting for you to pick it in all these episodes. I'm like, Justin hasn't picked a Wilhelm Scream. For some reason, I associate a Wilhelm Scream with like the perfect band for you, because they're just punk enough to be punk, but their tech side is like so appealing to you. Like I know how much you like the breakdowns and like how technically gifted they are and stuff like that. So I'm glad you picked it. I think, yeah, like I said, for some reason I just associate this band with you. They're everything I wanted Thrice to be.
Yeah, for sure. Like they're a lot of what I want a lot of bands to be, and I think like out of everything they've put out, like every album has like a good number of songs worth listening to.
Are they still around? Do you know?
Yeah, they put out an album 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. Or
yeah.
Was it just a re-release?
Oh, sorry, you're right. It was, and it might have been, no, it was the re-release of
Mute Print, maybe.
Ruiner, I think.
Ruiner? Oh yeah, it was Ruiner. You're right.
Yeah. They did play here. I think we would have seen them. Did they open for the Menzingers?
I haven't seen them. I've never seen.
No? Yeah, we saw...
Who opened for the Menzingers? Well,
or Against Me? Maybe they opened for Against Me.
Oh, maybe.
It was at the back alley.
Really?
Mhm.
Menzinger's was at the back alley, but I didn't remember seeing a Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, it was either Menzinger's or it might have been Against Me.
Weird.
Either way. I was going to say this like pretty recently, but that was also probably 10 years ago. So
That was a long time ago, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great pick, Justin. My next pick is a band called The Copyrights, who I've talked about a lot on here, and their album Make Sound, which came out in 2007. Copyrights are one of those bands that helped me, again, fall in love with pop punk. After kind of thinking the genre had become boring, and like this radio version, kind of like what you were just talking about there, with like where it was fashion before substance, and like about being on TV soundtracks and about being in magazines and stuff like that. And it's not a knock on those bands; like they have their place, but Copyrights were a little bit more Green Day and a little bit less Blink-182, Newfound Glory, Sum 41. Like they brought something back. They were more, I mean, like, to use the word like punk is kind of weird, but for lack of better words, they were like more punk than those bands. They went back to feeling like the bands that we grew up falling in love with. The message again seemed like we're just a bunch of guys or people just having fun playing instruments. We're pissed off about stuff, but we also are hanging out, and if we play in a garage or if we play in a stadium, it doesn't matter, that kind of thing. I think they, like, for me, there was like a chunk of bands that took the sound, that pop punk sound back from those bands like Blink and Newfound Glory. I think Copyrights is one of them, and they borrowed from the Lookout bands of the 90s and even to some extent the melodic sound of the Fat Records bands, and like made it their own. This album itself opens with like one of my favorite opening tracks called Kids of the Black Hole. It's like 10 out of 10, one of the better album openers of all time. Then they have Planet 1994, which is perfectly relatable nostalgia trip for anybody that likes 90s punk rock, which should resonate with most of our listener base, I'm guessing. Unless Justin got us a whole new wave of listeners that are into metalcore. But
yeah, that's right.
The song I went with is called Stuck in Summertime. It's just one of the many tracks on this album that rule. I feel like you and me saw them at the Ship, which is a weird place to say I saw the Copyrights. Did you come with me to that show? They maybe open for Teenage Bottle Rocket?
I remember seeing, TBR there.
Yeah, maybe you weren't there yet, but they played like at the Ship, which is like, again, pretty small venue.
Tiny venue, yeah.
I don't know if they've ever otherwise been here. I don't think they've ever came up this way. There wasn't that many people at that point in the show. Anyway, they're awesome. Love this band, and they have like a big tree that comes out of them too. So most of the bands that come out of them are really good too.
So I didn't realize that the Copyrights had released stuff like this far back. Like I know their stuff from like 10 years ago. This
is maybe their third album too.
Yeah,
if I recall.
And they're still putting stuff out.
Yep. I think they just put out like a couple of tracks just before the end of last year, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think they had an EP.
Really good band. Like I said, if you're looking for that kind of sound, they're one of the better ones at it. So.
Yeah, I like this sort of like take punk back kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And even while like sort of that 94, 96 sound that bands are alluding to 10 years later, I think was sort of that nod back to like, this isn't all about like, whether it was like, Mayday Parade or The Story So Far, like those bands that were like started big and got bigger. These bands, I think, were just as happy to tour around in a van and play like club shows or all ages halls and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you picked this band, so if you did, I'm sorry for stealing a little bit of thunder, but like the Swellers album came out this time, their first one. I was actually in my head thinking just that, like the Swellers came out, and they're another band that took back that sound. Like they sounded like the Fat bands, and they didn't sound like they wanted to be rock stars. They sounded like they were content with like you said, touring across the country in a van and playing shows with friends and basement shows and bar shows that are like 200 people, not giant stadiums, and that's what they wanted. Like that's what it felt like they wanted. For sure, yeah.
The other one that came out, they put out their first album in 2007, I think, was Broadway Calls.
Yeah, so again, another great band.
Same sort of like similar sound, like giving that 10-year kind of nod back, and again, just like, and you can even hear that in both those bands, like subsequent albums, like the joy of being on the road again.
Yeah, great point. There's I think, and it worked out well with how I think I was feeling at that time, like going back, not to my roots per se, but like finding joy in that stuff again.
Yeah, 100%. All right, good second picks for the years 2006 and 2007. I'm going with Wilhelm Scream, Career Suicide, and the song I Wipe My Ass with Showbiz.
Great title.
It's so good. And actually, I meant to mention this. It starts with one of my favorite lines in a song, like maybe like top 10 lyrics, which is live like a legend, die like an asshole. So good.
Yeah, that's a great line. Copyrights, Stuck in Summertime, off Make Sound.
Live like a legend and die like an asshole. Dance with the mission, cause they're trying to shoot a revolution. Rocket sound like shit through your iPod. It's up like I got now, give me the loot. How I tried to buy my soul back, but the devil bled me over for it. Got me curled up in the shower, scratching the letters that read. Dear mother, I sold my soul for management. Fuck glass with a mask, cause they jacked the natural. Time jumps, coppers, bumps, now guess this is soon. It passes smoke cakes, the back top, roasted, only macros. Chorus, first chorus, the solo, the boom. How I tried to buy my soul back, but the devil bled me over for it. Got you curled up in the shower, scratching the letters that read. Dear mother, I sold my soul for management.
All right, we're back. Moving through the years 2006 and 2007. I'm going to keep things going here with another, I think, beloved album. Really straight ahead, storytelling-ish punk rock. And this is the debut album from this band, who would go on to release, I think, one or two more albums, and then launch a pretty successful solo career for the lead singer. Hailing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, this is The Loved Ones,
nice,
with,
nice.
of course, Dave Hawes at the helm. the album is Keep Your Heart. It's the first album from The Loved Ones. And then I think, what was the next one? Bridges?
Build Bridges. I think there's the 2 full lengths and an EP, but I think the EP might be first, but I don't know. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I was late to The Loved Ones. But
I think I heard this one before I heard the next one, but I don't think I heard it when it came out in 2006. I think I went back and listened to it afterwards, at least a few years down the road. So, released on Fat Records. So great to see, like, one of the most well-known punk labels still pumping out some really good stuff. And this is also connected to a number of other songs and albums that I've picked. It was recorded by Brian McTernan. So if I ever meet that guy, I got to shake his hand for like putting out some of my favorite albums, totally unbeknownst to me.
yeah, I would never know that.
But yeah, this album, I think, I love the way it starts. I think it's got kind of really good energy through the whole thing. And I wasn't sure what song to go with. Ended up picking Arsenic, which is a little bit later into the album. I think I'm not going to go as far as saying it's a deep cut, but I don't think it's one of the ones they're more well known for. Like, I think Jane was like the big...
Jane would be the big one, I think.
Yeah, kind of the one that they probably pumped the most out of this one. Or 100K, I think, was another one. But Arsenic, I think, is actually... It's a bit of an interesting song. It has like a really minor chorus that doesn't repeat a whole lot, and it just sort of sounds a little bit different than the rest of the album. And I've always liked The Loved Ones. I like everything that they've put out. I think Dave Hawes has put out a few pretty good solo albums, and like the guy still tours a ton and is always on the road. So
yeah, I think there's a None More Than Black connection to them too, right? Is that it? Or Kid Dynamite? Or am I making that up?
I actually have no idea. I don't know what the rest of the band.
I don't know the whole connection. It's interesting you bring up the Fat Records thing. I think that's another thing is I feel like Fat also, to some extent, realized that they couldn't just keep putting out the same bands, and they went and they like cast a wider net, but not like outside of the genre. I think they went back and got bands like The Loved Ones and things like that fit their sound, but were like different than the quote unquote fat record bands.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like the Epoxies or stuff like that they had tried to do before that were like way out the spectrum. They got bands that were close enough but different, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's right. Like I would say The Loved Ones, if they were on like the second Fat comp, wouldn't fit there.
Yeah.
But certainly feel like they would be a band that those bands would listen to.
Yeah, I really love it. I like them a lot. And I feel like there's like this mystique about The Loved Ones too. I think because they broke up and then Dave did his own thing, there's always like rumors that they're going to do something together again, and they never really do. Great pick, Justin. Great band. My next pick is a little bit different. It's another album, and this is the theme, I guess, for me that made me fall in love with the genre again. It's Tim Armstrong's solo album, A Poet's Life, which came out in 2007. Ranted's always going to have a big place in my heart. They're one of the first punk bands I fell in love with, and I continue to still love. But at this time, they kind of hadn't put anything out for a while. The last album before that wasn't that great, in my opinion. Other people like it, but it wasn't for me. So when
Didn't you pick their last album?
No, last album's the black, like the Rancid one, right? Is there one?
No, I think there's one after that you picked for the last episode.
Oh, maybe. Okay, then I'm wrong.
Not to call you out.
Oh no, you are right. You're right. You're right.
It's the one with Red Hot Moon.
Yeah, Indestructible is good. Sorry.
Yeah.
But they didn't do anything for a while after Indestructible, right?
Yeah, and sorry, it might not have been the last episode. It might have been before, the one before. Like maybe it's 2004.
Yeah, anyway, you're right. Okay. Well, then this makes no sense. Regardless, I was pretty excited when I heard he was putting out a solo album. And when I started hearing the clips of it online, because I feel like he was releasing, originally it was supposed to be like a single a month or something like that. They were just videos on YouTube, and the first one was so good. And it reminded me of the stuff off Life Won't Wait. Mm-hmm. And I was instantly excited because that's my favorite Rancid album. And when it finally came out, I was excited to see it was filled with that ska and rocksteady sound that was more like the original artists of that genre rather than the second or third wave. I feel like Tim took what he learned from being in the Transplants, in that he took what could be poppy
and
incorporated it with what he did in Rancid and put out something that kind of straddled that line perfectly of what could be palatable for almost anybody, but also like really like appeal to people that like Rancid, let's say. Like I don't know if Rancid appeals to like, and I'm going to use this a stupid term, but like soccer moms. But I feel like if a soccer mom heard some of the Tim Armstrong solo album, they might be stoked. Like I never had a problem playing this when I DJ'd. Everyone was always pretty excited to hear it and stuff. And when I think about Armstrong's style and production, this album seems like the prototype. Like there is sort of like everything he does now that he puts his fingers on kind of has this little bit
sound to it.
This little bit of production quality to it, which I love. Like it just hits the spot for me. One of the interesting things that I learned, and maybe I knew this before, but I forgot about it, was Into Action was originally written for a Canadian pop star named Sky Sweetman, and her version was released first, and then he re-recorded it with her as guest vocals for this album. And her version had been like, I guess, a little bit of a hit in Canada. Like I don't know, but it was on apparently it was on Degrassi. So that's your CanCon for this episode.
So I knew that. I did not know that she actually released it. I don't know if I've ever heard her version of it, but that song is awesome. Like it is such a
Into
great
Action is
song.
amazing.
Yeah.
I was tempted to go with Into Action, but I feel like that was too low hanging of fruit. So I went with the intro song, which is Wake Up, which I guess isn't really like a stretch, but it's a great intro track, and it kind of sets the tone for the whole album.
Yeah, it's this is such a great pick, Mike, and I'm glad you made it. It feels like as approachable as it is, it seems super authentic to like Tim as a songwriter.
Yeah, and I mean we've discussed this before. The amount of stuff that Tim does is pretty insane. This is Tim. And everything else are just tentacles of Tim.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It doesn't ever feel old too, which is really interesting. And I don't know, I like a lot of his other solo stuff, but I don't know if it's ever captured it in an album as well as this one. Like,
yeah, this I think, and maybe it's because he's like sort of so prolific in songwriting. This one feels a little bit more curated than some of the like.
Well, he did like
the Tim Time Bomb one is, I think what you were alluding to is like the whatever, it's 100 songs in 100 days that he was trying to record or whatever it was.
And they're awesome. They're like, I like a lot of those things. So I'm not trying to rag on anything, but this, just maybe it's just like put together as an album in a much better focused way, maybe. Yeah, I don't know if there's much more I could say about that. If you don't like Tim Armstrong, you're not going to like it, I guess.
Yeah, that's totally fair. But if you're in any way into Rancid, this is like a must listen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, third picks for the years 2006 and 2007. I'm going with The Loved Ones off the album Keep Your Heart. The song is Arsenic.
Tim Armstrong off of Poet's Life, and the song is Wake Up.
Watching the bad back in
up, my love of mine? Why do you spend your time with these guys who don't love you the way that I do? Yeah. This time things gonna be changing, starting new, rearranging. I got a new girl I'm seeing, just like the last one, just like the first one. Live for today, not tomorrow. Keep moving away from sorrow. Ain't one to beg or borrow. So listen to me. Wake up, you son of a bitch. I wanna know who you're with. Why do you roll in the night at like 6 in the morning? I say wake up, my love of mine. Why do you spend your time with these guys who don't love you the way that I do? Phone call, no mistaken. She starts her shaking. Eyes open, now I'm awakened. I'm gonna take it day by day now. Get high, good times rolling on the side. City showing or somewhere new to be going. So keep moving. Wake up, you son of a bitch. I wanna know who you're with. Why do you roll in the night at like 6 in the morning? I say wake up, my love of mine. Why do you spend your time with these guys who don't love you the way that I do? Son of a bitch, I wanna know who you're with. Why do you roll in the night at like 6 in the morning? I say wake up, my love of mine. Why do you spend your time with these guys who don't love you the way that I do? The way that I do. Down, down, down,
All right, moving on to picks number 4. I'm going to go back to the Eastern Seaboard, which is becoming a bit of a theme, I guess, for this episode. This time we're in New Brunswick, not Canada, but New Brunswick, New Jersey, with another debut album.
Hey, they're stealing our names too? That's it.
Yeah.
I want another new... Can't have two New Brunswicks.
Can't be confident in who named it first. I've also never heard of Brunswick.
I was just going to say, where's Brunswick? I'm assuming England.
Or Ireland, one of the two.
Fair.
This album came out in 2007, originally on XO Records, and I feel like it was re-released perhaps on Side 1 Dummy, but I'm not 100% sure of that.
I'm pretty sure it's on Side 1. Maybe I'm not.
Not when it came out.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I think it might have been a re-release, and I think their subsequent couple albums were on Side 1.
I failed at calling you out.
The band is the Gaslight Anthem, and the album is Sink or Swim. So the first that we're hearing of Gaslight, and certainly a band that I really, really liked for this album and the next few releases for sure. This one was one of the albums that within seconds of hearing it, I'm like, I love this band so much. And then the more and more I listen to it, I love them even more and more. And in the vein of sort of like a callback to like more punk rock roots and getting away from the stuff in the mainstream that just sort of was drifting further and further away from what I really liked. This sort of brought me right back, and it's really songwriter forward, of course, with Brian Fallon, who really kind of picks up, I guess the Bruce Springsteen torch. And then, of course, they both really leaned into that and have like performed with each other. And I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan. I really like that was one of the most listened to a ton growing up, like as a little kid, like when I was like even 7 and 8 years old. The first record I ever owned was a Bruce Springsteen record, and so it was cool hearing a guy kind of come out of the punk rock scene that had that connection that really related to for myself. The song I went to, there's quite a few I could have picked off this one, and ended up going with I'd have called you Woody Joe. Mike, I picked that one for you. An obvious nod to The Clash and Joe Strummer, which was also a huge influence for Brian Fallon. But what I like about this song the most, I guess there's actually two things. One, I'm a big sucker for bop bop bas in a song. And this one's got some great ones. But I also find that this song, more than quite a bit of this album in particular, starts to use one of the things that's, I think, the signature, or one of the signatures in the Gaslight Anthem, which is where the lead guitar plays like a melody that's similar to what Brian's singing. And they carry that, that's basically the signature of the 59 sound. Like the guitars are just mixed between, it's not just rhythm guitars that are filling the sound. The lead guitar actually carries a lot of the melody in a really nice, subtle way. And I find like this is one of the songs that you really start to see this emerge for the Gaslight Anthem. I can listen to this album anytime, any day, anywhere. It's such a great album and got me to really fall in love with this band.
Yeah, I remember you sending me a video of a kid playing guitar to one of the songs on here, the one that's like Zombie Killing Time. I can't think of the name.
Yeah.
And being like, oh my God, this is so good. Like, I have to find this band. And I went to Sloth and I was like, do you have the Gaslight Anthem? And the guy, like Todd was working there at the time, and he said, never heard of him. And I was like, I couldn't find it anywhere forever. I think I had to actually order it in at the time. And then they kind of, I think shortly thereafter, I think it did go to Side One Dummy, and then it became easier to find or something. Like, it became easier to find out of nowhere. And then I started reading about them like all the time. Like, it just seemed like they went from you sending me that clip to like blowing up, like in my world anyways, or maybe I was just paying more attention to them. But
yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, or I don't remember how I heard them for the first time, but I do remember, I'm pretty sure I had to mail order or internet order the CD. And then I also have this. Sorry?
Maybe I ordered it off Interpunk even. Maybe I did order
Yeah,
it.
maybe that could have been a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also remember, like, quite distinctly, I was hanging out with Nate, and then, like, he got in his car to leave, and as he was driving away, he was listening to the Gaslight Anthem, and I actually called him, and I'm like, oh, you heard the Gaslight Anthem? They're so good, right? And he was just like, yeah, the band is awesome. He's like, this, I just got this, or I just got into this. So it was that same thing where, like, the second he heard it, he was just like, this band is rad.
Yeah, I still I'm a huge Gaslight fan, so they would have, there's very little that they have done that I didn't enjoy. Sometimes I almost think this album's more exciting than 59 Sound, but then I'll listen to 59 Sound and I'll be like, oh no, 59 Sound was like...
Yeah, it is a better album, but this one is really good. The other song I really liked was We Came to Dance.
Yeah. This and the EP, like, there's something about it that kind of like, and maybe just because you see how big they get, you just kind of feel like this is like getting in the grassroots of it, that it's so good. But
yeah, this one does feel like you are getting in on the ground floor of a band you know is going to get.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wouldn't say that they were never massive in the sense of like playing sold out arena shows or anything like that, but they've played like a couple big stages in their life for sure.
Yeah, they did that. They did Glastonbury or whatever.
Yeah.
That's pretty big. I think they were probably on the cusp of like being that big, and then I don't know what happened. Stardom or something. They just sort of fizzled away or got burnt out. I think the pressure to put out albums gets to bands like that too, right? Like, you put out something like the 59 Sound, then you got to write. I think I read they wrote the next album on the road, which is probably never a good good way to get to your next album. Like the pressure to put that out right away and then keep up with
and
it.
I think for a lot of bands too, like your first album is probably 2 or 3 years or more of like music that you sort of collected, and then you finally get it onto an album.
Yeah.
And then the next one is like it's much less time, right? It's only maybe 9 months of material, and then that sort of keeps getting condensed. And if you release this album in 2007, you start writing those songs in 2004, by the time you're putting stuff out in 2012 or 2014, you're 10 years older, and maybe have grown out or wanted to try different things, and sometimes your audience comes with you and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, for sure. Great band, good pick, Justin. And I like that you picked that song because I know it's about Joe Strummer. The band I picked kind of fits well with this in that they kind of sit in that realm of rock and punk. The band is The Hold Steady. The album is Boys and Girls in America. Came out in 2006. full disclosure, I did not like this album when it came out. I kept reading and hearing about Hold Steady from so many people, how good they were, how brilliant they were. And every time I tried it, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is like the weird, like, I just don't like it. I don't know when it happened, but at some point, someone told me to listen to this album. And I did. And I started being like, okay, it's okay. And then I purchased it. And then we had a DJ night. I think maybe you and me or Todd and me at Broken City. And I was looking for something to play. And I saw the title Massive Nights. And I'm like, this is pretty good. This will probably be a good party song. And I listened to it. All of a sudden, it just clicked for me. Like, I don't know what it was, but all of a sudden, the swagger of Craig Finn's voice got to me. The replacement style of rock and roll, the storytelling, it all became very riveting and like important to me. And then I just fell in love with this band. Like, went full on into everything that they did, solo stuff, the band before Lifter Puller, like everything. I was looking online today and looking at the reviews because I was like, oh, I remember them being big, but I didn't realize how big they were. For example, AV Club had it as the #1 album of 2006. Yahoo had it as the 9th best album of 2006. Pitchfork had it at the 5th best album of the year and described it like this: like an American Jarvis Cocker, Craig Finn's narrative takes a look at kids who dance and drink and screw because they've got nothing else to do, and he does it all with a depth that we rarely see in contemporary rock. And I thought that's actually a pretty good way of describing how he writes.
Yeah.
It's almost poetic how he writes, because it's like his storytelling is so good that you can get past this like talking is singing almost. Like, yeah. I think you could mention it with Bad Religion. If Bad Religion does this, like Craig Finn is like a gazillion times more of a talker and singer. For sure. Yeah. But it works. I went with Massive Nights. It's probably cliche to pick that song, but I just love that song. So
the Jarvis Cocker comparison is spot on too.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if we'll see any William Shatner Hold Steady covers. Wait, is William Shatner still alive?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
He was actually tweeting during the hockey game, taking shots at America at whatever 90, whatever he is.
Good for him.
Good for him. That's right. Canadian hero. More CanCon for the episode.
Really stretching it thin here.
Yeah. We mentioned William Shatner and Degrassi. Martin Short was at that 50th SNL thing. There we go.
Yeah. Sky Sweetum.
Oh, yeah. Lauren Michaels. We're doing it all. Yeah, that's it. I don't have anything else to really say about the Hold Steady, other than if you don't like the Hold Steady, every once in a while just go give them a listen and see if they finally click for you, because I feel like they're one of those bands that like all out of nowhere they'll just click and you won't understand why it clicks, but they do.
Yeah, I know. I think you're obviously a big fan of this album. I think it's the next one that is the one that kind of
did it for you.
Sorry,
the one that did it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
That's the one that got the Hold Steady to click.
I do think the next one is a better album. I just think this is the one that clicked for me, and it just like, so then I just was like I said, I went back and listened to everything.
Yeah.
So,
well, spoiler alert: we may see some Stay Positive in the next episode.
I'll have to turn the volume way down because that's the mastering on that album's so loud.
You've mentioned this before. I'm gonna have to like, I don't know if it'll show on the streaming albums. I don't know.
I think it's because of DJing it. Like, if you throw on, what's the, Stay Positive?
Yeah.
If you throw on Stay Positive, it's like so much louder than every other. It's like insane. It's awesome, but it's loud. That's for another episode.
We're really ticking along here. This is already the fourth pick, so let's jump right into them. I went with the Gaslight Anthem off their debut album, Sink or Swim, and the song I'd Have Called You Woody Joe.
Hold Steady, Massive Nights off Boys and Girls in America.
I was crawling around in my head in the haze of a trance, till Rico said, I'ma turn you on to the sound, cool out your head. This is the sound from Camden Town. And then I heard it like a shot from my skull to my brain. I felt my fingertips tingle and it started to rain when the walls of my bedroom were trembling around me. This ramshackle voice over a taco for blue beat telling me he's only looking for fun. And this was the sound of the very last gang in town. As heard by my wild young heart, like directions on And I carried these songs like a comfort wherever I go. And they was there when my summers was high, and there when she left me alone, saying the soul is hard to find. And I never got to tell him, so I just wrote it down. I wrapped a couple chords around it, then I let it come out. When the walls of my bedroom trembled around me, this ramshackle voice over a tackable blue beat, and a girl on the excitement gang. And this was the sound of the very last gang in town, as heard by my wild young heart, like directions on a cold dark night, saying let it out, let it out, let it out, you're doing alright. And I heard it in his chain gang soul, how it wasn't just the same sad song, saying let it out, let it out, let it out, you're doing alright. And are you doing alright? Are you doing alright? As hurted by my wild young heart, like directions on a cold dark night, saying let it out, let it out, let it out, you're doing alright. And I heard it in his chain gang soul, how it wasn't just the same sad song, saying let it out, let it out, let it out, you're doing alright. And are you doing alright? That was the sound. Oh, you hear the sound? I hear the sound of the very last gang in town.
The guys are feeling good about their liquor run. The girls are kind of flirting with the setting sun. We all kind of fumble through the jitterbug. We were all powered up on some new upper drug. Everyone was funny and everyone was pretty, and everyone was coming towards the center of the city. The dance floor was crowded, the bathrooms were worse. We kissed in your car and we drank from your purse. I had my mouth on her nose when the chaperone said that we were dancing too close. We had some massive nights, every song was right, and all that wine was tight. And your friends are pretty cool, and my friends are acting cool. There weren't any fights, there's usually one or two. There's some guys that get a little bit uptight, some girls that got something to prove. We had some massive highs, we had some crushing lows. We had some lusty little crushes. We had those all ages hardcore matinee shows. And I was down on my knees when the chaperone said that it was time for me to leave. We had some massive nights, every song was right, all the wine was done. Yeah, your friends are pretty cool, and my friends are acting cool. There weren't any fights, there's usually one or two. Some guys that get a little bit uptight, some girls that got something to prove. We had some massive nights, 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 we had some massive nights. Every song was right, all the wine was tight. Your friends are pretty cool, my friends are acting cool. She had the gun in her mouth and she was shooting up at her dreams when the chaperone said that we've been crowned the king and the queen.
Good pick, Justin. That was we're just rolling along here, like you said. I think we're on the last pick here, if if my math's correct. I should be able to count to 5, right? I'm not that dumb.
All on one hand, hopefully.
You don't know how many fingers I have in my hand. I could have 4. You don't know what kind of industrial accidents I've been in. You're just staring at me.
I don't.
None. Well, actually, I've had a few industrial accidents, but nothing that took my hand off. Anyway, thank you to
There would have
everyone.
been fireworks accidents with us, actually.
Fuck, what football player did that?
Oh yeah, that happened. Yeah, was it the 4th of July or something?
Yeah, and he just signed his contract and he blew off
Yeah.
his fingers and then lost all the money. Man, who knew fireworks were dangerous?
There should come with some sort of warning.
Yeah. Come on. On that note, thanks to everyone who checked us out and listened to this podcast. Thank you for your support. Don't blow off your fingers. Thanks to the WhatsApp group for the interesting chats and questions and debates and just conversation, I guess, being there. Thanks to Justin for doing this with me and hanging out this month. Like I said, I know you were super busy and you made this work, so I really appreciate that you fit in the time to do it this month. And for this year, I guess, I did pay for hosting for the whole year, so you're stuck doing this for at least a few more months. Cause
Happy to be here.
Excellent. If you want to check us out, you can check us out on Instagram at High Fives Podcast. I still haven't figured out a better platform, like I said last episode, but hopefully one day someone will. If you're listening on Spotify and we're still there, that's good. If we're listening on Apple, they never took us down. Please feel free to comment or rate us. Again, I don't really know what that does, but it makes me feel nice. All in all, just thank you for listening. If you like this kind of music and you like our podcast, tell a friend to listen. That goes a long way. But I think that's it. I think we can get to the last pick, unless there's something you want to talk about, Justin.
There's not.
I didn't think so. You're not even going to say thank you to me. I'm really disappointed.
That's correct.
And you didn't even know that I could have blown my fingers off in a firework or industrial accident. So I don't even know why we're friends. Last pick. Go ahead, Justin.
All right, so we've sort of done the crest of popularity, bringing things back home, finding ourselves with singer-songwriters. And then this last pick I have is one that, interestingly and perhaps controversially, straddles both of those. The band, I think, started out like truly in the roots of punk rock, in playing basement shows and vans, like living out of a van, and almost defiantly saying that they were never going to be anything more than a band that plays the music they care about to smaller and smaller crowds, because that's where the heart and soul of the band is. Then they signed with a major label and have been heavily criticized, again, rightfully or wrongfully, about it, but it led to the release of this album. It's the 4th one, recorded in 2006 and released in the summer of 2007. The band is Against Me, and the album is New Wave.
So, Justin, I get to correct you now. They got flack when they signed to Fat Records, which is even more insane. They were like literally shit on for signing to Fat Records.
Yeah, which is also insane. Like
that's what their fan base was like. You're selling out by signing to Fat, which probably didn't make them any money, other than maybe give them a little bit more distribution.
Yeah, which I guess is a step up from like
putting it out yourself.
Yeah, cassettes, and I think a lot of their stuff was put out on CDR.
Yeah, so, maybe.
Yeah,
but I do get it is pretty funny. You go from anarchist folk punk to. Is this on Warner? I believe it's on Warner, right?
Sire Records, which I think is
Warner. I think that's the
Warner's,
Madonna one, right? Is that the Madonna one that we talked about that other time?
No, that was Maverick.
Oh, Maverick.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. That was the closest I got to my aha moment after you called me out. So, back to
Fair
your
enough.
story.
Take your shots when you can get them.
Cheap shots is what I can do.
So this gave the band a chance to work with the legendary Butch Vig, who he recorded the Smashing Pumpkins. Well, he's done so much stuff. But the one I think
too?
that stands out for me is sorry.
Did you do Nirvana?
Yeah.
I
know. I like it's despite all the Nirvana stuff, it's actually Siamese Dream is the one that I always associate him with. I think he did a lot of Trent Reznor stuff too. Anyways, tying it back to that, it would be hard to imagine what he hasn't had his production hands in. But I think pretty awesome if you're a musician to work with a guy of that caliber, and Against Me took that chance. So definitely way more polished than even Searching for Former Clarity. From a production standpoint, this was a radio-ready album, and it very much was. And I still, to this day, hear Thrash Unreal on the radio, and it's still such a good song. You hear it at hockey games, you hear it like all over the place, and it's still, to me, is such an awesome song.
This album's awesome. Like, maybe you're going to go into more detail on it, but I don't think I liked Against Me until this. I didn't get I didn't get the appeal of Against Me until this album.
Yeah, to me they were like sort of good, but like not remarkable, and it was this album specifically, and actually like driving around in your Mitsubishi Eclipse listening to
shout out Eclipse.
Yeah. To Thrash
the worst
Unreal.
car I've ever owned.
It was the song that clicked for me, and this was the album that clicked for me. Not the song that I went with for this podcast, because I wanted to pull in a little CanCon and a little CalCon specifically. So I went with a song Born on the FM Waves of the Heart, which is very different than Municipal Waste, which is where I started the podcast, and actually quite a different song from what I would typically listen to. I shouldn't say that. I'm actually a big ballad guy. Love me a ballad.
Yeah.
And this is probably the first one that I've picked for this podcast. But yeah, just a really nice duet with Tegan Quinn of Tegan and Sarah fame, and they just kind of work really well together on the song, and I thought it was just a great way to change up the album and change up what I would usually pick for the podcast.
Great song, great album. It's so funny that there is a song on the Gaslight. Is it the last song on the Gaslight anthem that's like got like is it like harmonica based? If I'm like
yeah, is it I can't remember. It'll come.
But anyway, there's a really slow song on that Gaslight, and I had, because I was still making mix CDs for my car at the time, that and this song on back to back on it, and so forever they're associated in my brain as this, like, they work so well together off each other. So forever it's been associated in my brain as so it's kind of cool that you picked that. Yeah, again, I know that Against Me got a lot of flack for this album, but I think the production on it is so good, the riffs are so good. I feel like they really came into their own as a band, and it made me appreciate their old stuff a lot more. Like, I do enjoy their old stuff a lot more now than I would have ever, but I just think they're really good at riffs and melody and creating radio friendly songs, again, with awesome messages. So like, it's always good. And I know we were joking about Rise Against earlier, and when you brought them up last episode, I think I mentioned it. It's kind of cool when a band can get big on the radio and have these messages, and maybe just like get a person to think a different way or even just research what they're talking about. So, and I know this is before the transition, but like, a fan of Against Me might not have ever thought about anarchist punk, or like why someone might be angry about these things. Yeah,
or like why it's important.
Yeah. So anyway, next time you're shitting on a band for selling out, maybe think about it that way. I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about with Against Me or not.
No, just like we talked about, this is the one that got me fully into the band, and I have all the way back to their first albums and first releases to their most recent stuff. Like, I love every single thing that this band puts out.
I agree. My pick, you're going to hate. And I legit sat and pondered about not putting on here, just because I was like, well, Justin hates this band so much, I feel like it's kind of shitty to put it on the podcast. So, but then I thought about it more, and I was like, well, I really do like this album, and it's very of this time. So the band is the Bouncing Souls. You shake your head all you want. No one can see you. The album is the gold record. The first time I saw Bouncing Souls in the 90s, I think with Face to Face, and to be honest, not that impressed. I liked the name, and then over the years, maybe a handful of songs I liked off comps, but I could never really get into them. I hated that Olay song, which I think is just a cover, but people play the Bouncing Souls version all the time. And then I heard their cover of Lean On Sheena, and everything changed for me. I picked up this album and How I Spent My Summer Vacation and fell in love with both albums, and then have since become a band I really like. I will point out that every time I've seen them live, they've been really bland, and right after it'll sour me on the band, and then I'll go and hear this album again and fall back in love. So that means I really do like this album. I think they're one of those bands that if you like them, you like them. If you don't like them, you don't like them. But specifically these two albums, I feel, are very of this like transition to punk, and like the bands like Loved Ones and Gaslight and stuff. There's like a good bridge there. And yeah, I just really like this album. Justin, do you have anything to say about the Bouncing Souls other than you don't like them?
I found out 48 seconds ago that that's a cover song.
Yeah, it's by Avoid One Thing, which is Joe from the Bouncing Souls band.
From the
Boston, sorry.
Yeah. I had no idea. That actually sort of tracks, because as much as I will say that I don't like the Bouncing Souls, I don't hate that song. So it gives me a little bit of solstice knowing that it's not actually their song. And I think they do a Menzingers cover that I don't hate either.
Yeah, they have that 7-inch with the Menzinger, or split CD or whatever with the Menzingers, where they each cover a song.
Yeah. And the Menzingers cover of the Bouncing Soul song I hate, because I'm like, this is the worst Menzinger song I've ever heard. And I'm like, oh, it's because it's not their song. It's Bouncing Souls.
I think my brother was saying that like every time he goes in a car with you, for some reason Bouncing Souls will come on.
And and he'll be like, this hasn't played in months, and it comes on. Yeah.
Cursed. Anyway, not much to say about this other than I really like it. I think obviously they're very popular in the punk rock world, and they've been around since the 90s and continue to put out albums. The song I picked is the last one, and it's called For All the Unheard, and it's a good closing track, so I picked it to close out the episode.
Fill your boots. If you like them, all the power to you.
What did you say? Fill your boots?
Fill your boots.
Sounds made up.
That's a thing.
What kind of thing? Sounds like a Brunswick thing.
Stampede thing? I don't know. Yeah. From Old Brunswick.
Old Brunswick. I'll be high and dry before I recognize old boot fillers. Okay. Thank you again for listening. Justin, what's the song?
Last song.
Hurry up.
Oh, yeah, we're still doing that. Last song for the years 2006 and 2007. I'm going with Against Me, the album New Wave, and the song Born on the FM Waves of the Heart.
Bouncing Souls, For All the Unheard, off the gold record. Stay cool and be excellent to each other. Thanks for listening.
With
guitar collects dust like his heart, soundless and still. A girl collapses on her bed, writing words never read. Troubled youth spills over into troubled life and times. We walk alone with our troubled minds. Our guitar strikes a chord, hits a misery so hard, so bold, sounding through this world where it's so hard to feel that gold. It's running through us all, our beauty, buried deep under a river of grief, where the muddy waters flow and the stones don't roll. This is for all the unheard, all the music left behind, all the songs left on the floors, in the closets of our minds. Where's the passion gone in our hearts? Lost somewhere in the grind. It's time to bring it back. It's time to unwind, find what we lost. It's time to bring it back. Our lost song lingers on, melting off stars on and on. A moment gone, or is it looking for you to sing its tune? Troubled youth spills over into troubled life and times. We walk alone with our troubled minds. This is for all the unheard, all the music left behind, all the songs left on the floors, in the closets of our minds. Where's the passion gone in our hearts? Lost somewhere in the grind. It's time to bring it back. It's time to unwind and find what we lost. It's time to bring it back. 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 It's time to bring it back.
U.S. State Department. We'll protect those. We've been helping the German government search for this stolen art for 50 years. To avoid an international incident, we'll be returning it to the descendant of its rightful owner. Baron von Würzenberger, on behalf of the American people, I apologize for...
Ja. Mach schnell mit der Art things, huh? I must get back to Dan Zentrum in Stuttgart in time to see Kraftwerk. Hey, und Dummkopf, watch out for the CD changer in my trunk, huh? Idiot.